Good afternoon, Stephen here from the Aroundtable, and today we're back with round two of some of my favorite albums from the 80s or your glam metal albums, whatever you'd like to call them. The albums that came out right before grunge took over. So we'll start off with 1987's Appetite for Destruction from Guns N' Roses, arguably one of the last great rock records of our time. You know, what can you say about this album? It was a turning point. I think it was like it was hard rock that we got used to in the 80s, but it was a lot more leaner, dirtier. It seemed on the surface it was talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll like every other band was, but there was a nastier side to this. There was a leaner, meaner, darker, grittier street sound to it. This wasn't the poisons, the van, the poisons, the warrants, whatever, the firehouse tricksters, whatever. Like that was kind of rock. It was a different kind. It was darker, nasty, sleazy, Aerosmith kind of thing going on for it, and it was a very big turning point for rock. I mean, that kind of rock was back to its roots, with that album, and I think it's arguably one of the best, maybe the last rock albums that we've heard. It's arguably a classic. In my opinion, it's a classic album. There's like Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, It's So Easy, Sweet Child of Mine. These are staples in rock, and they're flawless, So it has to be in your collection. If you don't like this album, there's something wrong with you. This is like one of the greatest albums of all time. So, without a doubt, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, a must, and arguably one of my favorite albums of that era. Second, I'm going to have to go with Van Halen 1984. It was the last album. We thought it was going to be the last album with David Lee Roth, but he did come back for A Different Kind of Truth in 2012. But 1984 was the last super big hit with Roth. The album, sold 10 million units. You had Jump, you had Panama, I'll Wait, Hot for Teacher. These are still classic songs that are played on radio today. I mean, I just remember at the time people were worried because it was keyboard oriented that Van Halen had lost its sound or its rock roots. But it's the dream album that Foreigner and Journey wanted to make and just couldn't make. These guys did it. It's still rock. There's other songs on there that sounds like old school Van Halen, like Drop Dead Legs. That's kind of old school Van Halen. There's a mix somewhere. So I think everybody was happy with that album. But there's no doubt this is just a phenomenal. It's a killer album. It's short, sweet. It's got everything going. It's catchy. It's rocky. It's poppy. It's everything. It's like everything rolled into one on one record. Like I said, it's the best of Foreigner and Journey, the album they've never made. It's put together by Van Halen, so a must. Next up for me was the Scorpions, Love at First Sting. I mean, these guys made it big a couple of years ago with Blackout, but this album kind of took that rock sound, made it a little bit more commercial friendly, more radio friendly, but still it rocks hard. I mean, you have Big City Nights, Bad Boys Running Around, Rock You Like a Hurricane is, a classic and probably one of the best power ballads of the 80s, Still Loving You. Clock's stand over 6 minutes, but it is awesome, that song. I mean, there's no doubt about this is one of the best ballads. This is a power ballad. They put the power in power ballad, so great album. Also, next up is for me, Flesh and Blood, 1990 by Poison. It's not as it's a little bit more. They're trying to get a little more serious here. They were kind of said they were getting laughed at with their first two albums, with their party anthems. They tried to get a little more serious. Did it work all the way? No. It was a little darker. Yes, I enjoyed it, like songs of Valley of Lost Souls. Flesh and Blood Sacrifice, which is supposed to be about vampires, Ride the Wind, which is about, life on riding your bike. They tried to get a little bit more, show their human side, the real life things, like the ballad Life Goes On, all kinds of stuff like that. So it was a little bit more mature for them. Did it work all the way? No, but I thought it was really good. I enjoyed that album. It's still one of my favorites. I think I still like that album best of all from Poison. There is another album, but we'll get to that at some other point. Last but not least, I would have to say Damn Yankees, 1990. That was supposedly a super group with Tommy Shaw from Styx and singer from Night Ranger, and I can't remember his name right now. Jack Blades. Sorry, I lost it there for a second. Caffeine deprivation again on these days. Um, that's the story I'm sticking to with that. It's caffeine deprivation. Wink. You know. But that was Ted Nugent was in there too. So it was kind of commercial rock. It was very FM friendly. It kind of was like a harder rocking version of Journey. Coming of Age was a great song. What else? There was the super power ballad off there. High Enough, super great ballad, another great power ballad. But I like their harmonies. It's a great album. For their debut, their first album is really catchy, really good. All the songs are good on that album. It's kind of like a rockier version of a Bon Jovi kind of thing. So if you like Bon Jovi, these guys are not too bad. They're kind of up there with them. A little bit more rocky, because Ted Nugent on guitar, you're going to get some shredding here and there. So it's good. I like that album. That's one of my favorites of the year. It came out in 19 right before Grudge was kicking in. Grunge, not Grudge, but Grunge. So again, caffeine deprivation. Wink, wink. So those are my favorite. There's going to be another part, and also I want to do a part of some of the best Canadian albums of the '80s. I think Canadian rock was really big. There's some really good out there. I'll get to that later on. But this is my part 2. I think they're great. I think they should be in everybody's collection, or listen to them on Spotify or whatever you do. But they're worth a listen. So this is Steven from the Aroundtable signing off. I'd like to thank Maggie for getting me to rethink about these '80s albums. So thanks, Maggie. Take care, everybody. Have a great one.